Hello everyone, we begin this Razz with an homage to Jim Seals of Seals and Crofts fame, who passed away a few days ago at age 80. The focus of Tuesday night's meeting was that little spot of land on Main Street, Kennevill, called The Crew, formerly known as The Wreck, and previous to that, it was a scrap metal yard created, run, and owned by Sam Levin. I learned a little bit about him from Terry Gaff during our last guitar lesson. These lessons begin with music and inevitably take on another life, and the conversation goes where the conversation goes. Terry gave me as much information as he could remember, including something I didn't realize, that the house on Orchard Street was once inhabited by the Levin family and has been inhabited by a series of people since then, and was also included, I do believe, as a Christmas walk. And then after some research, I discovered that there was a book written about Indiana Jewish history and the scrapping industry. My first real connection with this spot of land and the buildings on it came with 3 students that I had in class as juniors and who graduated, I think, during the 1999-2000 school year. Matt Troyer, Nate Hamlin, and Tyler Ward, pictured in Then and Now photos, were having a discussion with a faith-based gentleman in the community. I don't know who it was, but this guy owned the land. So Nate, Tyler, and Matt imagined the possibilities with a piece of property like that. Nate, being the budding musician that he was, imagined concerts being held out in the back building as well as inside in the front building facing Main Street. The deal that the guy made was that the young men could have the land, including the buildings, for $1. In exchange, this gracious community member asked that they clean up the space outside as well as repair the inside of the buildings. As a result, these 3 young men elicited the help of many of their peers and teachers, including myself and Keith Hoffer and maybe some fellow Rotarians in here, and many other folks, to tear down rotted drywall and replace with new. Most, if not all, of the materials, drywall, nails, screws, 4x8 sheets of plywood, the service of plumbing and electrical workers, etc., were donated by people in the community. It was a cool sight to see, but the reality is that these guys were on the cusp of graduating. So the question is how do you keep a good thing going? The interest in this place would ebb and flow as the years passed. I'm not really sure how many people have been affected positively by the existence of this place, but I certainly know that the 3 guys who are the main players have lived successful lives in the only way that really counts. Just take a look at the pictures of their respective wives and their kids, and that tells you all you need to know. On Monday of this week, I made a point to stop by the area to take a picture of the building and the surroundings. I pulled in the parking lot of the Crew, and there was a lone car next to the back entrance of the main building up front. A woman was seated in the front of her car, and I felt kind of awkward about getting out of my car and snapping pictures of the building and its surroundings. But I did it, and I was ready to pull away, and then I saw that she got out of her car and was ready to enter the building. So I got out and asked if she would be willing to let me in to take some pictures of the inside, and she said yes. And then I realized that she was a former student of mine, Andrea Ferrier, who graduated in 2012. So there's much work being done on the inside, and of course the thing that sticks out is as soon as you walk into the place is the little kitchen there, and it's loaded with all kinds of coffee and flavors. There's also a map that was drawn of the city of Kendallville, and the 3 dots that you see from left to right represent East Noble Middle School, and then the Crew building, and then East Noble High School. And all it takes to set off this stage is a series of wooden pallets, most of them broken and cracked, but it's a good vibe that you have for the performance area. This evening's program was led by a guy by the name of Logan Conley. He's been a speaker before, and he's accompanied by his protege Carson, and I'll let them tell you what the Crew is all about.
My name is Logan Conley, and I'm the executive director at the Crew. I appreciate all you guys that wanted us out here. Jeremy, thanks for setting this up, and I've been at the crew for about 5.5 years now. It used to be called the Rec way back in the day, and before that it was, I believe it was called 11 Scrapyard. Does anybody remember it as a scrapyard?
Sadly.
My grandfather worked at that scrapyard, and so we still to this day get metal that comes up through the parking lot and the ground. Every summer it just pops up, and so interesting ground there. We've never gotten it tested, but this is Carson. He's one of the students that comes to the crew. He's been going for about, 4 years. And we started out, I was working at the high school in the resource room, and I started talking with students, and I noticed there was some students who really just needed help. Help getting food, help getting help with homework, all kinds of stuff, you name it. And so, right before that, I had been asked to take on the Rec and kind of revitalize it because it was a dying organization, and they wanted some fresh new blood in there. And so they asked me to come in, and my goal was to get it restarted and then hand it off and find a director. Well, I fell in love with the job. I love the kids that we work with, so I stuck with it. And so, about four years in, I was able to go full time. We were able to hire someone part-time. Her name is Andrea Farron, and so that's kind of our team. We have a part-time and then me as a full-time. And so what we do is we open our doors after school Monday through Thursday, and I brought some flyers that kind of explain what we do each day. But Mondays are game day. We like to build relationships with students. That's where we build trust. We build just opportunities to laugh with them, do team building games. And then Tuesdays, we call future prep days, where they work on if we have a banquet coming up or if we have a youth business fair. Every year we do a youth business fair in March where students create their own business. They learn how to talk with customers, they learn marketing, they learn branding and all that stuff that goes with entrepreneurship. And we allow them to just run with it. So we open for one day for them to sell their products to the community. This past year we did it at Noble Palooza, which was really awesome at the CLC. And students, I think on average made $200-ish each profit, so that we teach them, they take a loan out with the crew, they give that money back to us, and they get to keep their profit. And so we teach them a lot of profit loss, those kind of things, budgeting. And so that's what we do on Tuesdays. We prep a lot for those kind of things. On Wednesdays we do career day. And careers, we try to encourage guests, if you guys are ever interested in sharing about your careers, what you guys do for a living, we welcome guests to come in and share. And we tackle things like, this is what I do, this is how I got there, this is what the typical pay is of the position, all kinds of stuff. And so we've had sign language interpreters in, we've had you name it, and we've had it. And so we also do a lot of trivia with it. We have some fun with it. So they're just learning about different careers maybe that they've never heard of. And then also Wednesdays, we do dinner discussions from 5 to 6 p.m. So the students we work with, a lot of them struggle with food insecurities. And so when they get home from school, they don't just go home to a family that has a cooked meal for them. A lot of them, if you look at Noble County, it's 12.8% of children 17 and under live in poverty. And so we're trying to tackle that with Wednesday nights. We do a dinner, and it allows us to sit around a table together. We pray, we talk about life hardships, challenges, we talk about how to get help in those areas, and we just have fun and laugh, and we try to treat it as more of a family setting, because when they get home, they're grabbing a bag of chips or a Hostess cake, they're going to their room and they're getting on YouTube. So our desire is to kind of combat that with, hey, it is really fun to actually sit down and talk. And so we just did that for the first time this past year. Hopefully this next year we're able to encourage them at least once a month on a Thursday to have dinner with their family. And so push those conversations with their parent or their guardian. And then Thursdays we do adulting day, and so if a student puts a hole in the wall, guess who's fixing the hole? We teach them how to do drywall. We've had head go through, kids wrestling, a head goes through the drywall. It's okay, you're gonna fix it. And so they learn a lot of that stuff. And that's what we do during the school year. In the summertime, we do lawn care. So every Monday we mow. We're pretty busy with that, teaching these students how to use a trimmer, leaf blower, zero-turn mowers, things like that. And so that's been exciting to watch a lot of them grow in confidence as they learn to mow.
You pray? Is that a regular part of the activities, prayer and a little bit of spirituality?
Yeah, so we try not to feel churchy or spiritual or religious on purpose, because I personally follow Jesus and it's changed my life, but I know people are everywhere in that, and we don't want to push that. Wednesday nights are I would say probably our only time we really have those conversations and point people to, hey, if you're struggling with this, here's hope. Here's where you can find answers. And we purposely set it up that way to where we don't want to be pushy with them. We don't want to say, you need to believe this, you need to believe that to be a part of what we're doing. Because it's just uncomfortable. It's not fun to be at a place that hasn't, like if we put a cross on our building, we probably wouldn't get any students. And so we can ease into those conversations. We've had students fight before, fist fights. And I sit them down man to man and we hash it out. And I go say, hey, in the Bible it talks about this. This is how we handle our issues. It gives us a guideline and a baseline, a standard to really help kids, I guess, put words behind what we're trying to get at with them. And so, yes and no. It's kind of, yep.
It's a great.
We're starting a Thrive 100 program where it's 100 things that students can do before they graduate. And in that, we're trying to encourage them to work with their parents or their guardian. So some of the things involve cooking, auto mechanics, how to change a tire, and there's 100 things that we're kind of listing that they can fill out a survey, they do it, and then they fill out a survey again to kind of monitor, this is what they've learned, this is kind of what surprised them, and maybe there could become a career interest in some of that stuff as well. So, and happily married, and that's just not the norm anymore. We sat down, I think there's 12, 13, 14 of us at a youth retreat, and we all just went around a circle and we kind of shared our family dynamics. I believe there was one student that had a father and mother that were together. Some of them didn't know who their father was. Maybe their father was in prison, their mom's in prison, or on drugs. And so that's a lot of students we work with, and we love it. We're trying to minimize that number. I'd love to be out of a job in that sense of getting that number so far down that it doesn't exist anymore.
For businesses to really become actively involved. And what we're hoping to do, again with Logan's leadership, is choose a cohort of students to take them all the way through, kind of mentor them. And so I think it provides an opportunity for businesses to really walk alongside these kids. So we're hoping that.
How young can they start coming there?
Yeah, it's middle school, 6th grade.
Okay.
Yep. Like to have relationships with kids early, so we can, once we get those relationships like developed, we can kind of help them along. I've had that experience with Logan, so just hoping to get kids in, and if they need help, we help them, you know, homework and stuff. So like to be able to do that too.
So where do you picture yourself 5 years from now?
Love that question. Yeah. Hopefully in the Marines. That's my plan. You know, I love the military, and I feel like that's like the best place for me.
People younger than adults now say that kids don't have work ethic. You sound like you do. So what's your response when you're sort of pigeonholed into that category? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I just think again with the developing relationships, if we can develop relationships with certain kids that don't really have a work ethic, we can say, hey, you should definitely come help, and then they come help because, oh, we're friends and we're all going to be there. You know, hopefully develop more work ethic. Like, working is actually fun. Working is something that I enjoy doing, and hopefully we can just help build that work ethic through relationships.
You need to be contagious.
Yeah. I was going to ask about your current fundraiser and maybe have you talk about it a little bit, because it's kind of a really cool idea, and we have one in our office.
Yeah, so we are doing the Race to 100, and Black and Raymer has agreed to do it, and our staff and board have done it. And so the goal is to get 100 donations in the month of June. And so from 1 through 100, so if I choose the number 5, I'm going to donate $5. If I choose number 87, I'm going to donate $87, and that's going to equal 100 donations, which is $5,050. And so if you're interested in doing that, I can get your email and send you the link, or you can find us on social media, and I can get that to you, or you can visit.
You can come pick one of our numbers
From them and pick a number from them. We'd love to have you support in that way. So yeah, it's just another fun little way. And then we're donating a percentage back to who helps us. So Black and Raymer, we're donating back to them to where they can give that towards a staff member or whatever they desire.
All in all, a very interesting meeting. There were many, many questions that were asked, so you can tell that the group was interested in the topic. So announcements, the regular meeting here. Let's talk about announcements. I gave a series of them. One, I'll be checking on St. James to make sure that they're ready for at the inaugural event, which is a couple Tuesdays from now. I passed out directories for next year. And so if you weren't at a meeting, I'll be bringing the box of directories to next meeting and certainly at the inaugural. I also have business cards. I made mention that I'm 66 years old, and this is the first time I've ever had a business card, and I don't feel any different. But what I'd like to do with a business card is to have any Rotarian that wants to take a handful of them to keep near you, so in case you see somebody you think, this would be a good Rotarian, then you can give them the information and they can make contact with me or me through you. We have two returning guests this day. We had Sam Seibert and Denise Landers, who we found out has the same musical taste as Doc Gaff and me. There was some switching of programs going on. So Lisa Charles will be next week, and she is going to invite Becky Calhoun, who will talk about Kid City. Randy Klein, the person with whom she switched, will be doing the July 5 program, and who he's going to contact is still up in the air. Our beloved president, Lisa Charles, led us in song. And we started off with Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which was, to say the least, very shaky. But she made a comeback, and the group made a comeback when they sang Smile and the World Smiles with You. Scott Frick and Lisa Charles were our raffle winners, but we had a little snafu. The deck of cards was lost, or misplaced, or stolen, or pilfered, or absconded with, and so we will continue with that as soon as we find the deck. There were a series of fines, but I totally blanked out on that. So I know there were some people who were absent, and RJ probably made up some other kinds of fines to make the club some money, but I have forgotten. But there were two brag bucks. Tom mentioned that he has a friend that's recovering in health, and he is, and Tom is as well, so he's going to be able to make a couple visits, so he's happy about that. And the one that I really enjoyed was the fact that Randy Klein's daughter, Rachel, got married within the past week or so, and so he certainly is a proud father. And because it looks like this video is going to be lasting 21 minutes, I will wrap it up. There's so much more to say, but you don't want to hear too much more than what you've already heard, I'm sure. So, but we must finish with the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do, led by our own R.J. Roos.
And with that, my words of hope and inspiration, whatever. And this one I got from Andy Strack. It's anonymous, but I heard it first from Andy Strack, which is, he says, when you're a cannibal, every fight is a food fight. And with that, we all all please rise and join with me in the four-way test of the things we didn't say.
It's fair to all concerned. Will those goodwill and better friendships will be beneficial to all concerned.